Okay, so myself is Shyam Kumar. Like I have a around 10 years of experience in IT industry. So I'm working on basically on AWS and DevOps activities. So this is my introduction. So basically I'm a training, it gives trainings on both DevOps and AWS. Okay, so this is my introduction. So before starting the training, let's go with one by one. So how we can continue the training, like whether you are a student or whether you are working in IT industry or you're an experienced person or a fresher. Okay, non-IT background, just we need to get the information from you guys so that we can start the demo session. Okay, just one or two lines about yourself, your name, like so introduce yourself like either you are a student or IT experience, you are changing from one domain to another domain. Are you working employee or non-employee? Okay, just one or two lines is fine for us. Just go by one. If others are speaking, just please keep it mute, please. Okay. Okay. Let's go one by one. Can we go with Ganesh? Uh, anybody from the team? Already most of the people are heard about the classes today.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi. Hi.
Hi, my name is Urmila, and I joined. This is my first class here, and I have 6 years of IT experience. I started as a developer, then I moved to QA automation. And I took a little break from work last past 2 years. Now I'm planning to get back to work. So these days, DevOps and cloud things are very much popular. So I'm here to learn more about it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. Anybody new people are there? Okay. So anybody new people is there? Just introduce yourself. Otherwise, you'll continue the session, demo session.
Hi Shyam. Hi everyone.
Yeah, hi. So
Yeah, hi. This is Suhas. So actually, I'm from a finance background. So currently, I'm working in a financial operations from last 5 years. So
okay.
currently, I'm looking to switch my career to IT. And as per my friends and well-known suggestions, uh, I I just choose to go for DevOps and AWS. And I just want to continue my career in this domain.
Okay. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay. So I think everybody's completed there. So most of the people they have attended yesterday class. So let's me share the screen. Okay. So in this demo session, like we are going to complete, we are going to cover. So what is DevOps and AWS? Okay. So yesterday some people heard about DevOps and AWS. So this training session is completely deals with your DevOps course and AWS course. Okay, so the duration of the course is around 70 days. It will be there. And in this DevOps and AWS, what we are going to cover it. So why we require this training? Okay, so what is meant by DevOps? Why we require a DevOps? So why companies are approaching the DevOps culture? And what is meant by AWS? So we will cover the briefly about these things and what are the things we are going to cover in this training session. We will see in this demo session. Okay, so first we'll go with AWS or DevOps is fine. So you can go with DevOps. So what is meant by DevOps? Okay, so in a company or in an organization in IT sector, so the persons who are freshers, the persons who are new to the IT side, so they don't understand the terminology. If you go for any IT organization, suppose this is my IT. So this is IT company. So whenever you step inside your IT company, it may be any company you take it. So this is some X person is there. So for some X person, he's joining in this organization. Okay, so you can take any X person. So this person is joining in IT organization. So this is any company, some X company or any company you take it. This company. Okay, so if you are working in organization, you are only not the part of the team. So there are a lot of team people who are working on an organization. Suppose when you are working on a project, it may be any kind of project. You take it something like a web-based project or banking domain, telecommunication, any domain you take it. So we will have the client. We are working on the project. So the company will hire you. You may be any kind of a domain. So this person belongs to any kind of a domain. So he will be part of your organization, is a part of the team. So inside your teammates, there will be lots of teams are available here. So one of the team is like development team. Development team people are nothing but developers. Suppose this project is completely deals with your Java project. Means we have Java developers, testers. Okay, so these are the part of the development team. If you are working any project, there will be a development team. So the development team contains both developers and testers will comes under the development team. So another team is called as a operations team. So these what they will do. So they are not from any coding background. They don't have any coding background here. They are not from any coding background. So this operations team is nothing but, so they are not only handling the single project, they are handling the multiple projects. So their roles and responsibilities are whatever the project you have done, so that they are moving to the maintaining the various environments. So in the real-time scenario, you will see the terminology called dev, SAT, UAT, and production. So these environments we'll be seeing in the real-time scenario. So developers are working on the development environment. Testers will be working on the SAT. UAT is the pre-production environment, and production is the final client-related environment. We can call it as either you are going to make live your project. So that environment we are going to call it as a production. So dev and SAT, almost all the teammates will have the access, but UAT and production are little like sensitive environments, we can call it as. So those environments we don't have much more access. Only few people will have access, because if you do any wrong changes in the environment, so it will affect entire client reputation. Okay, so that's the reason when we are doing in the production environment, we should be very careful what are the activities we are doing it. Okay, otherwise it will be escalated. These are the environments we are working on it. So this environment's ownership, like infra setup, deployment, deploying your application, will be handled by the operations team. So these operations team, they are not from the coding background. So if you want to create an infra, they will follow the documentation. If you want to do any configuration changes in the server, so they will follow the documentation. And entire monitoring the servers, this operation team will take care of it. If you want to deploy your application, so this operation team only will take care of. So development team, there are main two teams are involved in the DevOps. So one is development team, another one is operations team. So this development team is doing the development work, and the operations team is doing the operations work. So if you want to develop any login page, if you want to deploy any products, hospital management, networking, any concept you take it. So you require a coding background, like the developers will write the coding, any login page, any project you take it. So there will be a front end will be there, back end will be there, connecting with the database, fetching the data and showing the UI. So UI, back end, and writing the business logic, presentation logic, front end. So there will be various phases are available in the development phase. So in each development phase, we have a different developers are there. Front end developer, back end developer, database developer, like that. So whenever you see the development means, so all the people will come under this development only. In order to work with a project, there will be a lot of people are working. So one of the people are development team. These are very crucial team. So because if you want to run the functionality, if you want to do any kind of activity, so this development only will write the complete logic. Okay, so now this operations team and development team, combination of these two teams only with the help of their teams. So we are moving the project forward. But in some cases, what happened? So there is a delay in the deployment. Okay, so sometimes if any issue comes in the production, there is a minor changes there. So if you have a little bit development background, we can easily fix it. So any issue comes, again, they will contact the development team. So this issue is new to me. I don't know anything. Just tell me the steps, I will follow the steps. So operations team, they don't know anything, just they will simply blindly follow the documentations and do it. So common basic errors also, they are not able to handle it. Okay, so that is causing the lot of issues for our application maintenance. Okay, so to overcome all these problems, and there is a lot of communication gap happening between the development team and operations team. So to overcome all these problems, so the development team plus operations team, so the combination, they have introduced a DevOps person. Okay, so we should have a little bit knowledge on the development side, and the operation side should be handled it. So from entire process, from the development code to the deployment, so no need to rely on the multiple people. So we can work on with a single person can handle the entire activities. So those activities, we can't blame it that application is not deployed properly. Application configurations are not done correctly. So some errors happen. So why need to wait for the other people? Okay. So those type of issues, everything can be handled by the DevOps engine. Development work plus operations work can be handled by the one person. That person we are going to call it as a DevOps engineer. Okay, so if you take any project from requirement gathering, okay, so from requirement gathering, development work, building your code, testing your code, planning for the release, and deploying your code, and monitoring phase, all the phases can be handled by the only single person. That person we are going to call it as a DevOps engineer. So if you see the architecture of the DevOps, okay, so developers and testers will come under the development team. IT operations like deploying the code, infrastructure, server setups, all the things will be handled by the operations team. So there is a communication gap, like operations team not able to fully manage the servers. If any issue comes, they're mostly rely on the development team. So sometimes the development team is busy, so they can't handle the issues. So, and the time constraint also, operations team is handling multiple projects. So which project they want to take the priority. So that is also causing issue with the operations team. So to overcome all these problems, why we do rely on each and every person? So why can't we have a single person instead of blaming each and everything with other persons? So all the activities can be done by a single person. So he is only the solely person take the entire responsibility of all the build and deployment activities. So that can be done by the DevOps person. So in the development team, we are taking dev, operations team, we are taking ops. So that's the reason we are going to handle both the works can be done by a single person. That person we are going to call it as a DevOps engineer. So and here we don't have much more coding will be there. So coding will be very less. Okay, so no coding, only we have scripts and commands will be there. So we have lots of tools are available here. So in order to implement one by one activity, so some tools are provided by the DevOps things. In the real-time scenario, we need to using by these tools, and entire flow we are doing from the code, build, test, plan for release, deploy, and monitor. So all these activities in the monitoring phase, if you found any issues, again, we will report to the development team. So they will code the changes. We are going to build the code. So we are going to test the code. We are planning for the release. And finally, we will deploy the code into the various environments. So finally, we are going to monitor it. So to implement all these activities, so we require a certain tools we need to perform all these activities. Okay. So when it comes to the picture of here, so this is the DevOps architecture. So if you see the architecture, so this is the complete roles and responsibilities. If somebody asked what you work, in which area you work on it. Okay. So generally, for example, we are going to plan the code. Plan the code is nothing but, so whatever the project we are handling it, so we are going to divide into the modules, and each module we are giving certain time, like 1 month we need to finish it, 2 months we have to finish it. So the development team, like Java developers, they will write the code, but we should have a basic knowledge on some important files are there. Something, any issue or error comes while building the code. So we need to identify that whether it is a database error, any jar is missing. So unable to upload the files to the Artifactory. So some URL is misconfigured rightly. So we should have a basic knowledge on the development side, but we are not writing any Java coding or .NET coding, 1,000 lines, 100 lines. We are not writing single line of development code. We are not writing. Just we are mainly focusing on the building the code. Okay, so what of the code the developers has been written? So we need to scan the code. We need to build the code. We need to generate the reports, whether the developers are following the proper coding standards or not. So whether the code is not written properly. So they are define the variables, but not using the variables anywhere. Okay, something like memory related issues. Everything we can scan the code with the help of the scanner tools. And if any vulnerabilities are there in the code, like the jar is having something like a one jar they are using in the code. So that may be like a having a vulnerability issue. Vulnerability is nothing but so that cause may have the attacks, the code, hack the code, injections can be happened. So those type of jars we are going to identify it and we are going to find that. So this is the vulnerability issue. So we need to update the versions or jars, we need to update it. So finally, we are going to run the test cases. If any test cases are available, so we need to run the test cases in the code. Like suppose, for example, we have a login page is there. So we have a username and password is there. So how many ways we can test the username password? That is a test case. So like that entire project related an entire model, how many test cases will be written? So this will be written by the testers, not us. So we are only how to run the test cases centrally. We are going to see from our end DevOps perspective. So we are planning the release. So one module is completed. Then we are going to plan this module to the various environment like dev, SAT, UAT, and production. So finally, we are going to deploy it. So any database operations we need to perform manually or automation, we can perform that one. And finally, we are going to monitor the servers, application monitoring, infra level monitoring. Okay, all the monitoring we are doing it. So we will put alert messages. If the space is reaching out 90% of the system, 80% of the system, we need to get automatic alert of the message. Like mail, we need to get it. So if you are corresponding the mail within the group of the people, so anybody but from the team, we can respond it and we can close the issues. Okay, so this whole process we are going to make it an automation. First of all, we will learn individual tools and we will make this whole solution. Any project you take, it may be a .NET, Java, AngularJS, Node.js, PHP, any project you take it. So entire project, we need to make end-to-end solution, automation solution, we need to provide it. So in each phase which we are taking as a planning the code, we are writing the code, building the code, running the test cases, planning for the release, deploying the code, monitoring. So all these activities we need to perform it. So in the real-time scenario, DevOps culture, so they are using lots of tools are available in the market. So which are familiar and which are famous and most of the tools which are using in the organization level. So those tools only we are covering it. And whatever the training we are teaching out, like 90 to 95% of the questions will come from training only. Okay, so if you practice properly. Okay, so everything will be session will be shared through screen sharing and everything we will be doing the practical sessions and everything recording will be shared to you guys. Okay, so in order to implement this DevOps entire flow, so there will be like in the real-time scenarios, you will be working in not in the Windows machines, you will be working in the Linux environment. Okay, so we have two types of OS are there, operating systems. So the currently most of the people are familiar with the who are from non-IT background or freshers. Okay, domain change people. So they are familiar with only Windows operating systems. But we have,
Hello,
yeah,
hello,
please,
Shyam. I have a
please,
question. Sorry to interrupt.
yes, yes.
Can I ask it?
Yeah, Urmila, you can ask me.
Yeah. So I have a question like the about DevOps that you said. You mentioned like DevOps means development team and the operation team works together, right?
Yes,
That DevOps. Then one DevOps engineer can do both, right?
yes,
So and in the diagram we can see that the the coding, then testing, then the DevOps engineer should know the coding and testing, and because in
no, no,
company generally coding
yeah,
done by developer, testing done by testers.
yes. Coding will
So
be done by the developers. Like if it is a Java means Java developers will write the coding part. So test cases will be run by the testers. Okay. So now this will be running there in individual machines. For example, you are writing any coding. So for example, this is individual machine. Suppose for example, so one developer is writing his module. This is one developer machine. He is writing his own coding and module. So another developer also writing another module. So third developer, fourth developer, they were working on their individual coding part. So same thing when it comes to the testing team, they will write their own test cases. As a DevOps engineer, so we need to organize everybody's code into the centrally, we need to organize the code. So the developer one or tester one code, what they have given. So we will maintain all the code in the central repository.
Like we do the merging, code merging, right?
Code merging and everything, they will do it. So by using some certain tools, we need to do the merging of the code. Okay. So all the codes should be available here. So he can individually build the code in his machine only.
Okay.
Whatever the Java development code has written in his machine only, he'll build it. But entire all developers code, so we should have required some central server should be required. So everybody code can be integrated. So we need to build the entire code at single place. So everybody can see the what is our build status of the code. So for that one, the DevOps engineer will be responsible for taking each and everybody's code into the central one and building the code not into the individual machine. So by using certain tools, we need to build the entire code.
Okay.
Even running the test cases, tester can run in his own machine, but each individual tester, they can work on their own machine. But all the test cases of all the testers, so we are going to integrate at single place, that single place test cases. So we need to generate the report and we need to share across the entire team. So every teammate can see the entire project process. That process making can be done by the DevOps engineer.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So now, so in the real-time scenarios, you will be working in the most of the work you are doing, 90% of the work you will be doing in the Linux environment. Okay. So for example, in your Windows machine, you will be creating a file. What we will do, we will right-click mouse, click new button, file created. So if you want to download a software, go to Google, download Notepad++, download it, click next, software will be installed. Here, everything is a graphical user interface is there in the Windows machine. But when it comes to the Linux environment, we don't have the graphical interface. Okay, so we should have everything, it's a command. So if you want to create a new file or updating a file, deleting a file, software installation, if you want to set up the entire server, what are the manual activities you are doing in your Windows machine? Every activity we can do in the Linux machine with the help of commands. Okay, so each and every command we should know it because in the real-time scenario, you will be logged into the server. So development people that don't have the access to the servers. As a DevOps engineer, they will give access for us. So somebody will tell that the application is running or not. Can you check the log file? Can you find what is the error in the log file? So error in the log file means Windows machine means directly we'll go to the path. We will open the file, Control F, search for the error in Windows machine. But how can we do with the Linux environment? Okay, so in order to implement with the Linux environment, so we should know the entire commands. Opening the file, tailing the log file, searching for the error keyword. Okay, all these activities, if you want to perform in the, our application deployments will happen in the VM machines. Those VM machines are the Linux machines. So if you want to perform any activity, we should know the Linux commands. Okay, so every will be teaching from scratch how to create a server, how to execute it. Everything we will teach you from scratch. Okay, don't worry, you are from non-IT background. So non-IT background are students is there. So we need to practice a little more. So the IT background, if you listen it, you can understand easily. You can spend half an hour, 30 minutes is fine. But non-IT student are the person who is moving from one domain to another domain. He used to spend a little bit more time, like 1 hour, 2 hours more. So he can understand early. Okay, so next thing is that is not mandatory, but in the real-time scenario, they will ask it. Have you worked on any scripting language? Scripting languages, we have a Windows. If you are working our project in Windows means we should go with PowerShell. What is a Linux means? Shell scripting or Bash. Okay. Have you worked on the shell scripting or bash scripting? They will ask it. So if you are writing any script in the Linux environment, so that script we are going to call as a shell scripting. If you are writing a script in Windows, that is okay. And we also have Python. So if we, Python is a separate language. So if you are interested to learn, so we can learn the Python. Okay. So everything in this here is scripting logical part. What are the commands are the daily routine work you are doing it. Okay. So I want to check the list of all the processes, whether the process is running or not. If the process is not running, we need to make the process running. So this is a daily work we are checking it. So why can't we convert this into script? So any person like manager or team lead, any person he's not from the coding background, he's not from the technically, just we should tell how to run the script. That's it. So inside the logical part, as a DevOps engineer, we will write the script for them. So requirement comes in any way, application side, logs, anything. So just sequence of commands. What are the commands we have learned? So sequence of commands we will run it, and conditional checking. If you have a multiple data is there, how to loop the data. All the things we will cover in the scripting part. Okay, so these are the basics for your DevOps. So if you want to start with the DevOps, so we should require Linux, because if you are performing any Git or any tool we are learning it, so we require a command. So because all our practice session will happen in the Linux servers, we are not going with Windows. Windows everybody can do it, but if you go with Linux only, you can understand clearly. Okay. So next thing is we have a source code management. So source code management, I told you, right? So each individual developer writing the code. So all the developers code we are integrating into a single place. That single place we are going to call it as a source code management. So that source code management is nothing but each and every developer writing their own modules, own functionality, bit of logic they are writing it. So what they will do, they want to share the code of each other. This is all the code are related to the project only. So one person may be working in US, China, Kolkata, Delhi, anything, any geographic location you take it. So everybody can't transfer the code one to one. We can't transfer it. So there is a loss of data can happen. So to overcome this, what they have used, so they have used the concept called central repository. So hey, everybody can push the code. If you want to take the code, we can pull the code. So all these activities can be done, pushing or pulling the code, or if you want to push your new code, how can be happen? So that can be done by using SCM, source code management tools. Lot of tools are available in the market: Git, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. So the company may use any type of a tool. The commands wise, everything is same. Only the usage is different. Okay. So everywhere the commands is there, pushing and pulling the code, merging the code, creating the branches. Okay. Rebasing. Okay. Pulling all the changes, reverting, resetting. Okay. Versioning. Okay. Everything we can do with the source code management. And this is also called as a version control system. Somebody will call the version control system, or some people will come source code management. VCS. VCS shortcuts they will use it, or they will use SCM, source code management, VCS version control systems, or anything. So all these names are condense the your code management, how we are going to manage your code. Okay. So next thing is once the code is ready, now the code is ready. Okay. So as per the diagram, now the developers has written the code. We got that. So for this release, our code is done. Now we need to build the code. So for building the code, individual developers, they can build the code in their local machine, but everybody's code is there, is available in this source code management tools, any one of the tools. Now we need to build the code. So for building the code, so we have a build automation tool called Jenkins. So that is called as a build automation tool. Okay, so everybody's code that was written in the source code management. So we will integrate that SCM into our Jenkins, and we will use to build the code. So build steps, all the things, if you don't know, I don't know the build steps, I'm new to it. So they can have any kind of a project like Java build steps, I don't know. .NET, there is, our project is .NET, I don't know the build steps. PHP, Node.js, AngularJS. Okay, any program language you don't know. So the program language which we are using it. So for that we have a developers are there. So in local machine, what the build steps they are performing it. So we need to make it as a centralized one. So everybody can see the our build one. So for that one, we can interact with the development team and we can get the build steps for us. So Jenkins is handled by DevOps person. So whatever the code has been written, finalized, we need to build the entire code and we need to scan the code. So why to scan the code? So each and every line of the code, we need to scan it. So scanning can be done. Why? Because it's there any bugs. Bugs are there, compilation issues. Okay, test cases also we can run it. If you want to scan the code, everything we can done it. So that can be done by using some tools are available here. Just we need to integrate the tool with your Jenkins and we can scan the entire code. And the reports will be generated in the portal. So by seeing the report, we can analyze the where we have missed the developers has missed the entire thing. So that report generation will be taken care by us, how to create a tools, how to integrate with Jenkins, everything we will see in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so once build is done, here only we will perform the test cases also. Okay, so now we have everybody in the group perspective or anybody is talking about. So what is mean by DevOps means everybody will tell that it's a CI/CD process. CI/CD. CI means continuous integration. CD means continuous deployment or continuous delivery. Okay, so if you see here, CI/CD is nothing but continuously we are integrating our code and continuously we are deploying the code. So how the automation will be like? So if any person has modified the code, automatically it should build it, or should run the test cases, automatically it should be deploy the code to the various environment without any manual interaction. So somebody, the developer has updated the code, automatically we need to deploy it. So here plan, code, build, test will comes under the CI process. Release, deploy, operation, monitor will comes under the CD process. Okay, so once you deploy the code, if you are delivering something to the customer, so that we are going to call it as a delivery. Deploying is nothing but if you are deploying the respective code into the various environments continuously, that part we are going to call it as a deployment. Okay, so what are the phases we have seen here? Okay, so up to test, it comes under the CA process. So release, deploy, monitor will comes under the CD process. Okay, so SCM and Jenkins will comes under the CA process. We are continuously integrating the code, continuously building the code, continuously running the test cases. Taking the code, building the code, scanning the code, running the test cases. So here we are going to call it as a CA process. Now, next thing is the CD process. CD process is nothing but continuously deploying it. So one more tool is like we have a configuration management tool. So what is meant by configuration management tool? So we have in our team, we have 50 servers are there. Okay, so if we have 50 servers are there, so we need to create a file, select an important file like database configuration file, or we need to install .NET or Java, anything software I need to install in all the 50 machines. So if you want to install one software in one machine, at least whole login to the server, downloading and installing, minimum it will take 2 to 5 minutes or 3 minutes to take it. So if you are spending 3 to 4 minutes in one system, so if you want to spend 50 systems, 50 into 3 minutes, take it 150 minutes, we need to take it. Right. So 3 minutes, 15 minutes, like that. Okay. So same thing in the real-time scenario, one more server is added. Again, we need to do the log into the server, we need to install the respective work. So there should be a concept called I don't want to log into any server. So by writing a single script, I can install or anything work we want to do it. So we can do by using configuration server. Okay. So for example, we have 10 servers are there. Take any servers. So these are all the servers. It may be a Windows machines or Linux machine, any machines are there. So in all the machines, I want to install Java or install something software.net, PHP I want to install, Node.js I want to install. So instead of logging to the servers, so what we will consider, so we will write some small script in one server. Okay, so this script what we will do, so it will install, we will connect to all the servers, and this script will be installed into all the servers at a time. Okay, so this kind of a concept we are going to call it as a configuration management. If you want to configure the server, n number of servers you are configuring without logging to the server. I don't want to log into each and every server. So I can write some small kind of a script here. So with the help of the script, I can do any kind of a work in the server from the main server. So that concept we can do by using the configuration management tool. So in the real-time scenario, you will be heard about the tools called Chef, Puppet, and Ansible. So you will be hearing these tools. These three tools are called as a configuration management tools. So if you want to configure any kind of a server, any kind of activity you want to do the server, no need to log into the server. So we can write some scripts. With the help of the scripts, we can automate or we can do any kind of work in all the servers. Okay, not only software installation. If you want to copy a file, if you want to create a file, if you want to create a user, if you want to create a packaging, if you want to set up anything, entire server setup can be done. So without logging it, so that can be done via configuration management. Okay, so file we have containerization tool. Okay, that is Docker. Okay, so Docker is a containerization tool. So everything they are making, so application related. Yeah, you can ask me. Any question? Anybody?
No, I wrote it long before, not now.
Okay, chat window is popped out. That's the reason. Okay. So now we have a containerization tools. So every company is now following the containerization mechanism like Docker. So what is meant by containerization is nothing but, so if application is working, if two developers are there, so a number of developers will be there. So the person who has written the code in one machine, so we are moving the code to the central repository. From the central repository, he is taking the code by the another developer. But in one machine, the coding is working, the application functionality is working fine. But another machine, the application is not working properly. He will tell that I have application is working fine. So there is a problem with your system. So this developer will tell that I have the configurations correctly. So there is a problem with your coding only. You have not done properly coding. So because of that, it is not working fine. Okay. So if you have two systems are identical systems, what are the configurations that are present in this system? If the same configurations are present in this system, then on the application will works, right? So if you do any changes in local machine, if those changes is not done in other machine developer two machine, that application will not work. So to overcome this kind of a problem, okay, so this developer we are telling that I don't do anything in my server. I don't install Java, I don't install .NET, anything. So if you want to run application, what are the things you require to run the application? All the things bind into a container, create one container from your end. So in this container only, if it is Java application, Java software installation steps, dependencies, any binaries you are using it, any jars you are using it, everything you will make organizing it in this container, just ship it. You can push somewhere, I can pull it. So if it is working in your machine, it should work in my machine, same container. Just he will run the container here in this machine. You don't want to install anything. So that if application working in your machine, so same application should be working in my machine. Okay, so this is the concept of containerization. So that the reason companies, if any person is working on the application deployment, application development, so they are organizing into a container. So they don't want to miss any changes related to the container. All the time they are binding into the container. So just they will ship it, build it, and we will run it. So if it is working in another machine, it should work in my machine also. We can't blame it. If it is not working means in another machine also it should not work. Okay, all the things we are organizing into a container. In this container only, our application related, all the things should be there. I don't want to do any changes, just I will run it. Same another developer also will do it. Okay, so that is the concept of containerization. So finally, we have a cluster management. So that is Kubernetes. Okay, so Kubernetes alternative to tools also there, OpenShift. Okay, so if somebody talks about the OpenShift, means don't be confused. So Kubernetes alternative tools for every source code management like configuration manage. How we have the alternative tools? We can do the configure the server. We can do either Chef with the help of Puppet also we can do it. We can do with Ansible also. Same thing, container cluster management tool, like we can go with Kubernetes or OpenShift. Okay, so Kubernetes and OpenShift are the cluster management tools. So what is cluster? Cluster is nothing but group of servers. So if it is, this is a cluster. So same identical servers. It is a Linux. This is also Linux. So what are the configurations which are available in this server? All the servers are identical servers should be there. So if you deploy your application in one server, if the server goes down also, our URL should not be goes down, because so the cluster will contain a group of servers. So with the help of the DNS name, if you are sending any request to the cluster, so the request will goes to the any one of the server in the cluster. Okay, so that's the reason companies are following the Kubernetes and some companies using the OpenShift. Okay, so cluster management tools, this is the thing. Okay, so these are the part of the training. So the current trending one. So if you have a good knowledge on Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. So Terraform is a infrastructure as a code. If you good at Terraform, Docker, and Kubernetes, so your resume will become weightage. Okay, so Terraform, we can build entire infra. Okay, infrastructure as a code, we are going to call it as. So you can build entire infra of your organization in any cloud, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, GCP, any cloud you take it. So one solution is Terraform. So this was developed in HashiCorp language and HashiCorp company, they have developed it. So we will see the basics of it. Okay, how to set up it, how to create resources and any one of the cloud, we'll see. Okay, so in this in the complete DevOps training, we are going to cover the Linux, shell script, Git, Jenkins, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, and monitoring tool. Okay, we will cover monitoring tool. So finally, Terraform basics, not deeper, and projects. Okay. Okay, so this is a complete circle of your DevOps. So if you heard about this sessions, and you will definitely get a job on the DevOps side. So everything is required is a practice. If you do the practice, you will understand the concepts clearly and you will be performing. Okay, so what are the diagram we have seen right now? So all this implementation, this infinity symbol and this whole automation process, we can see in the projects. When it comes to the projects, so this we will learn the individual tools first. By using these tools, we are going to perform the project. Entire thing we will make an automation solution, we can do it. Okay, so same project we are maintaining in the real-time scenario. That is not the case. Every company will follow their own methodology. So they will only look for the knowledge on these tools, working experience. Okay, so if you have any doubts and questions, open, you can ask the doubts, questions.
I have a question. So you say you defined one thing, configuration management. From
Yes,
where? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, configuration management tool. So you mentioned that from one main server, we can write the command and it will go to all the servers. So we can have the
Yes.
configuration, it's the identical configuration. So, and with the Docker, like containerization. So here again, you are saying individual system, they can send the file and other will install in their system. Then
So
if they
here,
have configuration management, what's the point having content?
so here we are
Containerization.
mainly focusing on the infra side. So
Okay.
containerization Docker, we are working on the application deployment.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So this server setup is there, right? So identical servers I told. So this identical servers means we can't directly push this application or code to here directly. So some
Okay.
SSH login should be required. Some folder structure should be required. Some software installation should be required, or folders, anything. So first of all, in order to deploy your application, servers should be ready. So can't create a simple plain server, we can't create it, and we can't directly deploy the application. So something, if you want to do the Dockerization, first of all, Docker software should be there, right? Here. In this also Docker software should be there. So Docker software should be there means I can't install the Docker in 100 systems at a time. So I need to do some script to install the software here, and we need to check it whether the Docker version is there or not. Right. So for infra related things, we will go with configuring the server. You can configure the server mainly on infra side. You can also do the build and deployment also with Ansible. But so we will go with Docker for application deployments.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that is the main difference between configuring and deployments. Others, any doubts, any questions, guys? Okay.
In
So
it, like we'll be learning AWS also.
yeah, AWS also be learning. Tomorrow we'll see the AWS. What are the things we are covering? AWS will see it. Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
And scripting is like Windows and
So
Linux
if you are
scripting
writing
both
any
are
script,
different, right?
yes, Windows, if you are writing means we should learn the PowerShell, and most of the 90% of the use cases, our applications will be running in the Linux only. So we will be focusing on the scripting called shell scripting. Linux environment, if you are writing the script, is shell scripting. And if you have a certain time also, we can go the basics of the Python. What is Python also? So that will become more advantage also. If you don't know also fine. So they will ask in the interview, do you know which type of scripting language? PowerShell or Python shell scripting means. If you know shell scripting means, they will ask the questions on scripting only.
PowerShell comes under Windows. Okay.
Windows, if our application is development done on the Windows side, so we should do the scripting by using PowerShell.
Okay.
If you are doing in the
Thank
Linux
you.
environment, shell scripting.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. So tomorrow we'll catch up.